here, on the very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Brought to you by those new machines on Ix.
Wait, what?
Oh, No Man's Sky has put out a crossover expedition today, and it's a Dune crossover.
A Doom crossover or Dune?
No, Dune.
D-U-N-E.
Yeah,
okay.
Sandworms and all that fun stuff.
Oh, okay, I'm not going to be playing that. Also joining us is your co-host, Julie.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? Your co-host, Torsten.
Hey, hello.
And your co-host, Jacob.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
I've actually got Yorkshire Gold right here. But it's not Earl Grey. I'm not a fan of Earl Grey, actually. It's all right, but it's like not that great. You know?
It can be a bit overly bitter.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't mind that, but like sometimes it's like, oh god. All right, hey folks, how you doing? Today, my friends, we were originally going to talk about Rage Queen. This is a topic we've had in the pipe since the last crew, and we just never got around to it. But as we talked about it, both at the end of last week's show and internally, we're like, we should broaden this a bit. So we've broadened it to basically when we end our relationship with a game, like when we break up with a game. And it doesn't have to be just rage quitting. It could be any number of things that cause you to end a relationship with a game before it's time, before either it's ended or what have you. So I thought we'd start like going around the table, the virtual table here. And Spaz, I'll start with you. What would you say is the most recent game you had a breakup with?
It's actually one we streamed earlier this year in March.
Mm-hmm.
A game called 10 Miles to Safety.
Oh, I remember that one. It was all right. Like it wasn't great, but it was okay.
Exactly. It's a case of the game was fun for a little while, and the idea is you are running through a procedurally generated city and trying to escape through 10 miles of zombies.
Right.
Now, that's not so bad. I mean, you have a Diablo-like loot style, and you're looting all these different containers, drawers, and building barricades and such. But all that makes noise, and well, that draws more zombies. So you have to try to survive all of that. The thing is, it got very repetitive. Very repetitive. And the gameplay loop is that's why after our stream I decided, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. I think I've seen pretty much all it has to offer. And again, it's not that it's a bad game.
No, it's just I guess wore out its welcome. It's like the same broken record over again. Like you might like something, but how many times can you have it in a row before you don't want it anymore? You know?
Which is weird because I love roguelites, and we've, streamed games like that before. So this one, I don't know why it wore out its welcome so easily for me, but it did.
No, that's totally fair. I mean, it's tough to create I don't envy game developers in a lot of ways, but creating a game loop that is satisfying over and over again, that's got to be tough. You know, like games like FTL did it and whatnot, but like a lot of games have failed at that. So I totally get it. Julie, what about you? What would you say is your most recent game breakup?
Well, I would say, and like I said before the show, I feel obligated, but I won't actually sing the 50 Ways to Leave Your Video Game because I was a big fan of the song, but Paul sang it. But my most recent breakup was with World of Warcraft, and I enjoyed, unlike EVE Online, I really enjoyed the people. So it's like if I could keep the people and get rid of the game developers, and they're kind of leaving on their own anyway. The whole thing started when, God rest her soul, the matron who was sort of the founding cornerstone of our guild died. And that left a big hole in everybody's real life. And then, do I have to tell everybody what mudflation is, or can I assume that everybody knows?
What is it?
Mudflation.
I don't know what that is.
No.
Okay. The idea being is this, I didn't coin the term, but the idea with mudflation is you work everything up, you get like the uber sword of uberness, you spend hour after hour after hour, and then the next expansion comes out and the first green to hit your inventory is better than the thing that you spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And so with one of the expansions, the expansions that I did play part of, they had an artifact right before that, and one of the big swords was the sword of legend. The uber sword of uberness was the Ashbringer, and I said, "You're going to give me the Ashbringer," and so you work your way up. You spend a lot of time working your way up and developing it and developing your character, and then developers come along and say, well, in order to start the new expansion, we're going to take this away from you, whether you like it or not. And you log on one day and it's gone. So that's, yeah. And so you log on one day and your little uber sort of uberness that you spent so many hours and hours and weeks and weeks and weeks developing is gone. They just took it away. And so this isn't what especially drove me away. This is what drove my sister, who I played with all the time, away. And so once the woman who was the kind of the founding guild member died and my sister quit, I was like, okay, here's Julie outstanding in her field, outstanding in the middle of a field by herself. And I said, this game just isn't any more fun, because I kind of enjoyed the game. But what made me leave the game was the fact that all the people I played with were no longer playing the game. And like it is with a lot of multiplayer games that I play, and I play mostly for the people in that game. So that's why I left. Not going to play it by myself.
Yeah, I'm in Final Fantasy 14, and there's been a lot of buzz about all the people leaving WoW to come over to that game. Like,
for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. Apparently some big streamers also caused that migration. But yeah, I've heard recently there's just been a mass exodus from WoW for a variety of reasons.
Well, that, and I don't like the way the people at the top of the ladder treat the people at that game studio at the bottom of the ladder. And now that's also part of the reason why I don't think I'd ever go back.
That's a shame. How many?
Entirely fair.
Yeah. How long? Like, how many? Let's say months or years, whatever was more applicable, would you say you've invested in WoW?
Pretty much since day one.
Oh my God.
When the level cap was, I was playing Ultima Online, and somebody said, hey, introduce me to WoW, and the level cap at the time was 60, and WoW was the latest, greatest, hottest, newest thing. And I saw the Gates of Ironforge, and I said, hey, this is for me. And my sister comes by my door to my room and says, oh, hey, you got space in your account to play for me? And I said, well, I can, but how about if I give you your own account? And so, like, early on, and it was the whole mudflation thing that drove my sister away. She just said, I spent hours and hours and hours, and then not only do they not let me keep this thing, just not even as a keepsake, they just literally removed it from inventory. And I understand they made it part of the game, but that just ticked off my sister and a lot of other people. And we have a static Final Fantasy group we play on over the weekend, and I said, well, okay, bye. I'm migrating to Final Fantasy.
Good choice. It reminds me of I'm gonna say a side story here. Privateer, Wing Commander Privateer had an expansion called Righteous Fire. And in the base game, you worked so hard to get this alien gun, the Steltech gun, and you worked so hard to get that gun. And you have this huge battle with it, and then you get to fly around and free roam with it, and it's great. And then if you install Righteous Fire, they take it away. Just it's stolen, and you never get it back.
For balance.
And it's the stupidest, like, I'm still angry about it. Like 20 some years later. Is it 20? Wait, roughly, almost. Anyway, so that is, especially given how much time you've invested in WoW, that's, oh God, that's kind of crushing.
The thing is, the way I view it is this: I didn't invest it in the game. Just God bless the person that was like I said, she died and she's no longer with us. But I invested it in the people I was playing the game with, and when they all left, that's why I left.
Are you all in Final Fantasy now? Is that what is? Have you all moved over there?
Not all of us, but 4 of us, no, 5 of us, I take that back, are there together. So, and we have a close relationship. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. At least you were able to bring most of the people over with you. So, sorry, go ahead.
So, in terms of terminology, by the way, the technical term is actually power creep, except I guess this is more specific because it refers to power creep and also taking away your stuff. But that's actually not something I'm too familiar with. The game, like a game just in an expansion, taking away your progress. Like Final Fantasy 14 kind of does that, but like best in slot gear for an expansion will last you about halfway through the story. Like halfway through the story of the next one, and also it will never like be just removed.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So, sorry. So, Thorsten, we'll move on to Thorsten now. Thorsten, what would you say is your most recent game that you have broken up with?
Well, that's Elite Dangerous. I've got to admit.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I must explain. I must explain this at first. The whole Elite series was my dream. Was my dream games. I played already the first one in 1985, 1986, and played it on the Amiga. Played the two Frontier games, and I was really, really happy when Elite Dangerous was announced. And yeah, great. I had a really good experience for several hundred hours with this game. But then I think it was a time when one of the new ships came out. I think it was a Grey 2. And I grinded to get one. And there happened several things. I was ganked by far stronger players, and there was one day I really I was nearly making a really good run, and was ganked by another player as always, and thought, okay, that was it for today. Let's play again tomorrow. And I only started it again for 5 minutes, half year later, and I lost complete interest in the game. I'm still a bit sad about that. Again, it was my dream game, but so is life.
It's interesting. Archibus, I'm going to try and say their name in the chat. Archibus said, Elite Dangerous was fun until suddenly it absolutely wasn't. And the switch flipped in an instant for me. And I had that exact same experience with the game.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Same for me.
I'm flying around, I'm making money. Then next thing I know, I'm docked. I'm sitting in the cockpit of my ASP. I'm like, okay, why am I doing this? For more money? So I can do what with it? I buy a bigger ship to do the same nonsensical missions that don't matter. Now I'm right there. I'm with you on Elite Dangerous. Like they just gave the game space legs. I can't even be bothered. I can't even be bothered to go back. And I have a lifetime license.
Oh, sad.
I shelled out a few $100 for a lifetime license for that thing
Oh,
because I was really excited about it, and I never use it. It's like, okay. Like, I think when I got my Oculus, I installed it for 5 minutes to futz around and go, oh, this is nice. Should I fly around? Oh, yeah, I remembered why I don't play this anymore. And then I just turned it off.
I think we're talking about which. So we're talking about Elite, yes?
Yeah, Elite Dangerous. Yeah, because I had someone in chat, Torsten, and myself, seemed to have the very same experience with Elite when it was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Oh, suddenly it's not. Like, suddenly I just don't care.
I mean, I'm in a similar spot, mostly because, two things happened. One, better space games came out, and two, I realized that there's basically not much point to this game except getting bigger and better ships, which normally I'd even be fine with. I am the sort of person who, like, if the gameplay loop is get more money to get the biggest, most fun ship, like, that's basically Rebel Galaxy to me. The first one, all Outlaw.
Rebel Galaxy, 3030 Death War, Spaceborne even, they all have this loop where you just do these things, these fun things to make to get better ships. But in those games, it feels like the things you do matter, and the different ships are fun enough to want. But like with Elite, it's like, why am I doing any of this?
I've got to say something to about that. My first impression was really okay. It's okay if you stop for a while. But in this half a year, I've seen so many wrong things. The mission system is broken. The mission system is simply boring, and
yes,
on and on. I could speak about this for a full hour, and I'm simply done with this game.
No, they talk about the background simulation or power play or whatever, and none of it matters. Like basically you're just flying from point A to point B, and that's it. And there's no reason or rhyme for it. And
I would be fine with that. I would be fine with that, really. But if there was any gameplay, but there isn't any gameplay. There's nothing to do, really.
Yeah, there is no gameplay to it. They want you to think there is, but basically, like, God, what's a good analogy? It's like you're
there's a lot to do, but none of it matters.
Yeah, there's a mile. Well, yeah, was a mile wide and an inch deep. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like, even the actual gameplay part of flying the damn ship is rather underwhelming.
They all right.
Very intentionally made everything big and sluggish, as because for this, so that not everyone doesn't like play space turrets or whatever. Except, this is supposed to appeal to the free space crowd.
Oh God!
And people who played Free Space and Wing Commander and Elite.
What I don't understand is the previous Elite games, Elite 2 Frontier, and then what was it First Frontier? I think
Frontier Elite 2.
First Encounters, yeah.
They felt much more engaging. Like you felt like you were you felt like you were a part of that universe. You felt like you were actually, like, what you did actually mattered, and you felt like you were actually like making a difference. Whereas in Elite Dangerous, it's like I'm just staring at nothing. I'm like, it's this weird disconnected feeling because like you're not really a part of anything.
Exactly.
It's so strange how they got it so right for a game or two and then got it so wrong. I just don't. And this is not meant to be the Elite Dangerous bitching podcast. That is not. It's just we apparently have a shared experience about Elite Dangerous and how it was.
I'm
it was
pretty surprised about that.
Yeah, it was fun, and then it wasn't. It's like, oh, like, and there are better space games out now. You could have a much better time playing X4, Spaceborne, Evercron. There are just better experiences out there, single or multiplayer. It just amazes me. Like Jumpgate.
No Man's Sky, in fact, paradoxically.
Like Jumpgate is a much, in a lot of ways, simpler game than Elite. But because you can see how the economy works and you can affect the economy and you can actually do things that matter, like when you mine something and turn those materials into the right place, it actually matters for the overall production of a piece of equipment, for example. Like what you do in that game actually matters to the supply chain. Nothing like in Elite, nothing you do actually freaking matters. Oh, anyway, yeah, let's not spend the entire podcast slagging Elite. We could. It sounds like we easily could.
We could just do.
As I said, I could talk hours about what I think about this game.
Yeah.
We could genuinely just do the Elite podcast.
We've done that before.
We actually have.
That's
I think
a bit redundant. Yeah.
The last time we played it on the podcast was when not Odyssey, but the expansion before that came out. I think the one that lets you land on planets. I can't remember the name now. So we're like,
not Odyssey.
I forget the name. But we all dove back in. It's like, let's see if this is fun anymore. And it's like, oh, instancing still doesn't work. Like we're all in the same wing, but we can't join up together. Like, didn't you guys fix this? Anyway.
Right, can we carry on, please?
Anyway. So, Jacob, we haven't got to you yet. What would you say is the most recent game that you had a breakup with?
Breakup is not something I do often. Typically I just go, I forget because I play a game for a long while and get kind of bored of it and then forget about it for a couple months and come back to it. Because that's the sort of cycle I do with games because I have way too many of them to play them regularly. But the big one recently was a game I like called Underrail. It's a CRPG in the style of the early Fallout games set in a post-apocalyptic metro setting and so on. But basically, it's a really good CRPG that I run into an issue with of not playing it for a really long time, then coming back to it, loading up a save, and winding up in the middle of nowhere, extremely confused as to what the hell me half a year ago was thinking.
Yeah.
I have no memory of this place.
Yeah.
And this is a problem.
Yeah, I recently went through that with Far Cry 2 when I was trying to stream full time. I was doing that monthly. And then I stopped when I got a job, and I'm like, I should get back to that. I should finish it. I actually did recently finish it. But those first hour where I was like, wait, where am I? What am I doing? How do I do this again? Oh, the map is in the game. Oh yeah, none of the other Far Cries are like that. So yeah, I recently had a similar experience like that. So you like, so I think someone in the chat goes, you have less breakups and more you ghost a game for a while, and then you come back.
Yes, kind of. There was only one spectacular breakup I remember having, and I can't talk about it because that game's name is forbidden on this podcast.
No, you can talk about it. Go ahead.
Wing Commander Privateer 2.
Ooh, what happened?
I opened it. I started playing it.
I'm sorry.
In about 50...
I'm so sorry.
That was my first mistake, yes. In about 15 minutes. In about 15 minutes, I docked to a station, realized there's nothing to do in a station because the game is pretty much entirely linear. I left the station, I tried flying around, I couldn't for some reason, and I went, yeah, no, I'm sticking to freelancer.
Okay, Wolf Iceberg in the chat says Privateer 2 is better than Elite Dangerous. You have to understand, Wolf Iceberg, Privateer 2 is one of my most hated games. I hate it so much. Flames out the side of my face. God, yeah, no. I hate Privateer 2. I hate it. I love the movie part of it. Like, I've watched the movie by itself on YouTube. Like, that's great. If you want to just watch the movie part, it's got freaking Clive Owen, like baby Clive Owen, and John Hurt, and Christopher Walken, and Jurgen Prochnow, and I think David Warner's in there too. Just a stellar cast. Terrible game. Just terrible game. Oh, you played Privateer 2 after Freelancer. Oh no. Oh man. Yeah. Wow. So the one I'm going to bring up, my most recent breakup, was a game called Outriders. It's a shooter by People Can Fly, who made the Painkiller games. And I love at least the first Painkiller game. And this looked like a lot of fun. So I waited for it to come on sale, and I got it. And I was really having fun for a while. It's a good mix of like kind of magic abilities plus gunplay. And I was really enjoying it until I got to one part where there's a giant freaking spider with like the face of that thing from Stranger Things that splits into like 3 spot, that monster from Stranger Things.
Demogorgon.
Yeah, that thing. So it's a giant spider with that kind of face, and I'm like, nope, done. I couldn't uninstall it fast enough. I'm like, I'm never playing this again. I'm never touching this game because I can't deal with spiders. Well, it depends. If the spiders are unrealistic enough, like on Deep Rock Galactic, I can deal with those spidery things. And EDF.
Deep Rock Galactic and then EDF.
EDF, yeah, I can deal, because I think those are rendered in a cartoonish enough way that they don't bother me as much, which is interesting. But if it's anywhere near realistic, I don't care how big it is or whatever, I'm just like, I have to nope out. I just can't do it. So I was really sad because it's not a great game, but I was really enjoying the stupidness of it. And then I couldn't play it anymore, that's $30 down the drain. What are you going to do? So let's see, what's another? So I guess my, Julie, you kind of answered this question because I was going to ask what was your either biggest breakup or like most invested breakup? Like what's the longest time you've spent with a game? And then you stop playing. Julie, you kind of already answered that, if you don't mind me saying.
No. There was one I played longer.
Oh, what? Oh, please.
I played EVE Online for just half of forever. And to me, EVE Online would be great if you can get rid of half the people in it. And
do a Thanos snap in EVE Online.
I played it for just years and years and years and years and years. And so the thing is, and before anybody says, oh, you just didn't like yes, I was in a guild that did PvP and Zero with the null sec space and all the rest. But then came the day I was in a group called the Older Gamers. And it's not like, oh, everybody over 60 like Julie. No, it was, you had to be over 25. And so older. Right. So now I enjoyed the industrial part of the game because in a lot of space games I play, That's the part that's missing. There isn't a lot of industrial part in No Man's Sky. There's some.
That's true. That's true.
And in Star Trek Online, where I have a lifetime sub, there's no industrial part. But so that's why I liked it the best. And then came this guy from the older who had been banned, not just from the game, but from the whole group. And I don't know why. I don't remember why. But he said to us all, it is my mission to get everybody in the older gamers to quit that game and make everybody's life miserable. So he spent an entire year and thousands of real world dollars hiring people to war deck us for a solid year. And every time we went and formed another group, he somehow found that out and war decked that group. And let's just say I will paraphrase the name of the last group that war decked us, and it was Floozies in Space. How's that? And the thing is, it's what I think the nail in the coffin for me was when the people who started this thing called Hulkageddon. And this is why on our podcast, for all the hate that it started out against our podcast, because we were against the Hulkageddon thing, it started a little section we used to have called Flameproof Undies. And I said, because I told the people, you're not just ganking the high-sec bots. The new players who want to come in, they work their behind off to get their first Hulk. They're in high-sec space, and you're ganking the new players. And the wolves can only prey on the sheep for so long before there aren't going to be any sheep. And so I said, and I will paraphrase this too. I said in so many terms, so many words, I said, you claiming to do this for the good of the game is like a fascist dictator invading his neighboring country and claiming he's doing it for the good of those people. And I had these little videos on YouTube about me and all this hate mail. And I said, stand by what I said. I said, you're preying on the new people. And one day I didn't rage quit. I just docked my Orca and I said, I'm done. Not going to contribute to this anymore. And now every time I feel like going back, I lay down until the feeling goes away.
Oh, man.
Understandable.
It is a shame because if you're into industrial stuff, that game really, or economic stuff, that game is really in a class of its own. I mean, it's really an impressive feat as an economy.
And the thing that has with other games that Space Age I played, there's this famous cartoon that says learning curve, and it's all these people falling off the side of a cliff. And all the same, it's like the X4 Foundation where Spaz helped me through that, and I enjoyed the game, but I guess that's why I still play X4 Foundation, and I don't play EVE Online. Yes, there it is. Last show, Jacob, cliff. He's got learn, and that's the exact one. And but it's just all the people that wanted to prey on the new players. It ruined the game for me.
That's a goddamn shame. That is. I mean, I like EVE a lot. I go back to it every once and again just to like fiddle around because like the exploration is great. That's what I love about it is the exploration. But yeah, that's got to sting. Baz, what about you? What would you say is your longest? Like, what would you say is the game that you played the longest? Which game did you break up with that you played the long? How do you say that right? Stumbling over my own words.
It's that's a difficult thing for me to answer.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to think about that one. But
you want me to come back to you?
No, I would say there's one that I can mention. It's a game I used to play, Battlestar Galactica Online, and I was a beta tester on that.
Oh, right. That was a browser game,
It
right?
was indeed.
Yeah.
I played that pretty regularly. I was a dedicated Raptor pilot, so I was always running defense for our cap ships. But they introduced the cash shop into that game, and not long after that, they introduced all this, all these other types of munitions you could buy that gave you huge damage bonuses, and it turned the game into a pay-to-win nightmare. Because if you were not buying the higher-end weaponry, well, oh yeah, and it was consumable too. You'd buy these weapons and you'd buy ammo. The ammo was consumable, so when you were burned out of that, you had to switch ammo types. Yeah, that didn't work out so well, and I walked away from the game at that point.
Torsten, what about you? Do you have a game that you played for a really long time that you ended up walking away from for a specific reason? Besides Elite, I guess.
I thought about this question, but I can't remember any
That's
game.
fine. That's fine.
No, it was really only Elite Dangerous for me.
That's totally fair.
Any other game I invested time in, I still have fond memories and even play them from time to time. But Elite Dangerous was different, to be honest.
Yeah. Jacob, what about you? Is there a game that you played for a long time that you eventually ended up like just leaving?
There's a few. Actually, well, this is I guess it's a leave for now, though. I've considered rejoining Star Trek Online. Was a game I played a lot of, including at some points for like 12 hours at a time. Because it seemed like exactly my kind of game. Well, it was, and I would argue it still is. I just kind of lost. The big thing is there are several people I joined in to play with, and they've all kind of left to play something else. Actually, the bigger one I feel is Warframe. That is a thing. That is a thing that some of you may know, which. Basically, I've realized that it was a game that actively wasted my time.
Oh no!
Because it's just a near continuous game of grind with little actual payoff, and extremely same. Like the problem is the optimal way to play it is to not play it. Basically, it's a game that benefits from speedrunning because you run through so many things so many times that you can't actually just go through a game and enjoy it because you want it over with as quickly as possible. And I feel like at a fundamental level, a game that gets more fun the less of it you play is a bit backwards.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't sound fun. That doesn't sound fun. I've tried playing Warframe. And it never clicks with me. They keep releasing stuff for it, so I try to go back into it. The problem is I go back into it and I don't remember how to play it, and you can't replay the tutorial, and you can't reset your character. It's like, all right, what do I do now? I have no idea. Okay, I'm done. I have no idea what's going on. But I know a lot of people who love Warframe. They love it. They play it every day. Like, all right, you do you, boo. For me, I'm kind of reverse it. The longest running game I played that broke up with me was Jumpgate because it shut down. I'm still sad about it. I'm still sad about it. Yeah, I know that's cheap. I know that's cheap. But the fact that Eve is still running and Jumpgate isn't just breaks my heart. And I know that there's a resurrected Jumpgate and blah blah, but no one's playing it, so Who cares?
Yeah, it's a single player game at this point.
Basically, like I think the most people I've seen on it one time are 6. It's like what? No, but I have maybe 5,000-6,000 hours in that game, and them shutting it down just broke my heart. Like utterly broke my heart. So I guess let's turn the question around then. Spaz, I'll start with you. What would you say was your quickest breakup with a game? Like from install to play to done. What would you say was your quickest breakup?
Well, in recent memory, it would have been Elite Dangerous. Because, and now I have a reason for this. Okay, I've got a reason for this. As longtime listeners of the show will know, I've mentioned it many times. I've been legally blind my entire life. So I've never known a life where I have great reflexes because of my eyesight. And as a result of that, when I got into Elite Dangerous, I could only play for about an hour. I couldn't hit anything. So between its mechanics and my slowed reflexes because of my eyesight, as I've mentioned, I felt like I couldn't progress. So when people say Elite is fun, I say, okay, it's fun for you, but I'm never going to see that, pun intended.
Oh God. Damn it. That's not bad. I can't blame you on that one. I mean, that one, there's really no auto aim in that game that would help. There's like gimbaled weapons, but even they aren't super reliable. So,
I mean, the irony is of all the time I spent in Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, and by some measure or some degree, I'm a master at that game. Comparatively speaking, comparatively. Yeah, I would assume that is, I would attribute that to its accessibility. Just in terms of literal accessibility, you do have an auto aim function that's included with that. And you don't have to use it, but it's there. And I can actually hit stuff, and I can succeed, and that's why I beat the game a half dozen times.
And did you? Arcabus in the chat says there's a modder making X4 trying to be more accessible for the visually impaired, which is probably a great thing because that game is a visual mess. It's great, but it's a visual mess. And
hey, greater accessibility is always a good thing.
It really is. I mean, say what you want about these Far Cry games we're playing. The fact that they added a caption for audio cues is just astounding. Just like
a lot of people make jokes for some reason about like accessibility settings and how they're pointless or whatever. They're not.
They're so not.
For people who need them, for people who need them, if you're the type of person, if you're listening to this, you're the type of person who thinks that accessibility options make a game too easy, you don't have to use them. But for those of us who do, for those of us who benefit from them, that's a huge hurdle that we don't have to get over in order to enjoy a game.
Yeah. This is why you usually let me drive in Far Cry.
Oh, sometimes I do, and that's why I get to, make the joke of who the hell let the blind guy drive? Oh yeah, me. I'm the driver.
As we run into
but yeah.
Oh, that is a shame. I mean, you can't dodge the bullet with Elite Dangerous, though. I'll tell you what, you really did dodge the bullet.
You're not exactly missing out now, are you? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I'm well aware of enough of the problems with the later game to know that, okay, I saved some time.
Do you think that would be a good podcast topic? Which games do well with accessibility? That might be fun to talk about.
I feel like I wouldn't have much to say because I don't know what constitutes accessibility.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that would be good because he has the same kind of problem Spaz has, and he's had Stargarts, and And he says people who would normally never dream of making fun of people for other reasons don't hesitate to make fun of him because he's legally blind, and he will be in games like War Tank, the War Tank game, and he'll say people will, so what, are you blind? And he'll say yes. And he said, that's my reason for a low score. What's yours?
Jesus Christ. All right, I'm going to add that to a list of potential topics.
So I will contact him if you're interested.
Yeah, I think that could be a good topic, because accessibility isn't. I think accessibility could be talked about more in games, and some games do a great job with it, and some games don't. So I think that'd be a fun one to research as well for the topic.
I would need to sit down and research, because I am blessed enough to not have to pay attention to any of that.
Yeah,
Blazes in the chat does a good argument here. The colorblind theme. I've got the same problem, and if the game says red, I'm often in the situation which red, because they look all the same to me.
Oh, yeah, I think this would be a fun topic. We'll definitely, Julie, let's talk to your friend.
I've actually got the same problem as Thorsten, because if the shades are close enough together, then I can't tell the red from the green. And people say, oh, yeah, the little green cross. And I said, well, friend, I passed the test to be a pilot, but that's what kept me out of the Navy and why I had to join the Army.
Okay, I think this would be a good topic for a show for people like maybe Jacob and me who don't know about this sort of stuff. Like I know next to nothing about color blindness. I know next to nothing about, blindness in general. And so
I kind of know it exists, obviously, but
so learning about what games do to make it more accessible for people with color blindness, for people with visual impairments, that sort of thing, I think would be really, especially from a learning perspective, I think that'd be interesting. So yeah, I think we should definitely add that to the list of topics to come up with. I like that idea actually a lot.
And that also brings up an interesting point. You and I, Brian, had helped raise money for a charity.
Right. Yes. What's their name? You remember the name better than I do.
Yeah, the charity is Able Gamers.
Right, Able Gamers. Yes, and that helps people not only with vision impairments but physical impairments as well.
Yes.
And it helps them. It creates customized controllers, all kinds of things that allow people who might not be able to game otherwise to enjoy the joy of video games. So check those guys out, folks, if you haven't. And they might be a good people to reach out to about the show as well. Ooh. Brain is turning.
I think Steven Spahn, who is their COO, he would be a good person to reach out to for that. I don't know if he would be interested, but it doesn't hurt
to ask. It never hurts to ask. If they say no, fine, but it never hurts. It never hurts to ask. So no, that's a great idea. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about that. In the moment, I completely forgot about them, but they're doing great work. So they'd be great to talk to. Oh yeah, no, I could totally see that being a whole show, especially learning about not only people's afflictions, but what they do, what games do to help with their afflictions.
And especially in the times we currently live in.
What do you mean by that? Like,
well,
because there's so much going on right now.
Considering we live in pandemic times, people who have physical disabilities and are having to be at home a lot of the time are seeing that because other people are now having to be in a similar boat. They're seeing a lot of and this is a side topic, of course, but it relates to telecommunications, using Zoom for meetings and such.
Mm-hmm.
The accessibility that was provided by that, and a lot of employers taking that away and saying, oh, you have to come into work now. That's actually hurting people who are in status of disabled because, well, they were able to benefit from a lot of other people benefiting from a technology they kind of needed. And to see that being taken away and employers saying, oh, well, you need to come in now. You don't know how good you have it until you don't have it anymore.
I would just think that this pandemic has shown that working from home is not only viable, but a lot of people find it more productive. I've read.
Working, I would argue education gets significantly worse.
No,
Yeah.
I'm married to a teacher. Trust me. I've seen how much worse online learning is. But from what I've read, working online is, for a lot of people, you're more productive because you don't have people bothering at your desks. You don't have, the constant hum of the office and all these people walking around and having a little conversation. There's a lot fewer distractions when you're working from home, and studies have shown that people are more productive when they're working from home. But yeah, education wise, no, it's not. Oh God, watching my wife try and teach elementary school music on Zoom for almost a year was grueling. I felt so bad for her. And so wait, are you back in physical school, Jacob, or is it still mostly online?
Yes. But it's 90% physical. We have 1 day of remote learning for some reason.
For some reason. But that's good though. It's I'm sure it's better to be back in the classroom for you guys as well.
My opinion, absolutely, yes. Severely.
So,
I can somewhat pay attention now.
So yeah, it sounds like accessibility with the right guests and research would be a great topic. We should totally look into doing that. But back to our topic for today. Okay, we just talked to Spaz. So Thorsten, did we get to you as to your quickest breakup with a game? I don't think we did.
The quickest breakup was simply Age of Gladiators 2 Death League. And it's exactly what we talked about. The font was completely unreadable, and I tried to use some kind of some type of Google to read it, and I wasn't even then I wasn't able to read it, and the colors were off, and I think I spent about half an hour or so, then I gave up.
All right. So, Jacob, what about you? What would you say is your quickest breakup with a game?
I mentioned it already.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, you did.
When I'm thinking of mine, I think it's Half-Life. The first
It's a
time,
unique one.
Well, the first time I saw a face hugger, I was out.
Head crab, yes.
Head crab, yes. As soon as I saw a head crab, I was like, nope. And I've not played a Half-Life game since. And I refuse to.
There's one that we streamed. And you noped out within 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Remind me, because I Half-Life was what came to my mind. But if you have a better memory, go ahead.
Yeah, Osiris New Dawn.
Oh!
Early on.
Oh, I blocked it out.
Early on. Yeah. So we were streaming. We went at maybe about 25, 30 minutes in, and you saw one of these crawlers that goes along the ground, and then it jumps out at you. So you noped out and ended the stream at that point. And I completely understand. I mean, that's with good reason that you noped out.
No, I will never play Alex in VR. I will never. Half-Life 1 was the last Half-Life game I played. Everyone's like, but Alex is such a great VR game. No. And I have enough problem with heights in VR games. Like, there are games I've had to stop. Oh, here's another one, I guess. I was playing Vader Unleashed, I think it's called, on the Oculus. And it's a great game until you have to shimmy to the side of a building and then climb up a pipe. to get to the next level, and that pipe separates from the wall and falls, and so do you. Vader Immortal, thank you. Yeah, I was done after that one. That was 20 minutes in, I think. I can't deal with heights in VR. I just can't.
Someone in chat just said something about arachnophobia, and I have arachnophobia.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh,
and,
God. Yeah,
I played a game and counted my participation in seconds because I had a friend that was a dev on Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon, and he knew it and gave me the game. And I logged on, saw the giant metallic spiders, and I said, I'm done.
Yeah, for some reason they didn't bother me in that game, and I'm terribly arachnophobic, terribly. But for some reason I can deal with, blah, 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 Earth Defense Force
spiders. It's even easier to deal with them in, say, Earth Defense Force World Brothers.
Yeah, because they're
very pixelated.
They're Minecrafty. They're very very pixelated in that one. Yeah, and there's some other games I just remembered that I couldn't play in VR because of the height thing. There was this one great game that I think Dex recommended to me. And within moments you're like crawling up a wall and there's nothing beneath you. I'm like, nope, I can't do this. I almost ripped the helmet off. because yeah, I cannot deal with heights in a VR game. And there are some games I can't play. I get to a certain point. There's this great game called In Death Unchained. It's VR. It's an archery game. It's amazing. Amazing. But at one point, you can use these transversal arrows to move around. And at one point, you have to move over these floating rocks, and you have to use these transversal arrows to jump from one rock to the next. I can't do that. I can't. I tried it once, and I was like, nope. Nope. There's a survival game called Grounded that has a spider realism slider. Wow. Okay, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And I really appreciated that the Marvel's Avengers games has a spider warning. They apparently in the Wakanda section of the game, there are these giant mechanical spiders. So they have a big old spider warning, which is nice. I wish there was another game I was playing the other day with a boomerang. I streamed it. I was playing this boomerang game that was great until they had spiders, and then I had to stop playing it. And I'm also one of the people that use that Skyrim mod to turn spiders into bears. Because I couldn't handle the spiders in that game. And I love Skyrim, and I couldn't handle the spiders in that game. So it sounds like we've had a good variety of breakups with games. And they're not, the sad thing is a lot of the time they're not bad games. Like a lot of times these are not bad games we're talking about here. They're just, for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, there's one I was going to mention.
Go ahead.
Dyson Sphere Program.
Oh, I've not played that one.
Now, the reason why I bounced off it, I played a good hour and a half of it, and I bounced off because although I have this, I should say, creativity for figuring out ways to get one item from one place to another, and our friend Luke, who is I've played a lot of Astroneer with him. You could ask him about some of the weird designs I've come up with for automating our bases. But games like Dyson Sphere Program or Factorio, for that matter, I bounced off because I don't have the kind of patience to wrap my head around getting all of those logistics sorted out. It's on a level that's a little higher than I'd like to work with.
Would you say it's on the same level as Factorio, or is it?
I would, yeah. It's very much on the same level. If you didn't click with Factorio, and I didn't click with Factorio, then
no. I know
You're
a
not
lot.
gonna click the nicest free program.
I know a lot of people who love Factorio, and I watched the trailer of it, and my brain almost melted. I'm like, nope, this is not for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad game. It's
No, exactly. Like the game we're streaming, Scavenger SV4. If you're unaware, folks, this game is amazing. It's amazing. It is a space planet exploration science fiction horror roguelike, and it's an astounding game that I will never play again.
Oh, I love it. I play it at least once a week.
Really?
It's really good.
Seriously, I
No,
really love it.
It is no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. It is an amazing game that I will never touch again. But it's so good, and I feel kind of bad that I can't touch it again. But it's what are you gonna do? You know. So we just passed an hour. I think that's a good time to wrap it up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. We try and
I think we're set.
yeah, try and keeping these in an hour. I think is good because we used to go longer, and people were like, "I don't want to listen to you guys for 2 hours," and I tried to listen to ourselves for 2 hours, and I couldn't do it. So an hour seems around a good cutoff point. So, folks, that's
feel
good.
like-
And longer if we have a guest.
Yeah, I guess.
I imagine, first off.
Right. But go ahead.
Okay, we can discuss that later, but I do feel like we might want to extend it a bit because we now have 5 people talking as opposed to, I believe you had 3 before?
We had 4 before.
So 4 before, sorry. So for some topics, I imagine we might want to make an extension, but I feel like we shouldn't go over like 90 minutes.
Do you guys, I mean,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
we could
Agreed.
we could do it to 90 minutes. I mean, I feel like we just hit about a good cutoff space for this topic.
Yeah.
But
If we're at a topic that we can, milk for 90 minutes straight, yes.
you know what? Fine.
If we're still going,
If we're still going, I won't say anything. That's totally fine. We're flexible here at the Space Game Junkie Podcast. Yeah, we could totally talk about this more, and maybe we will. But folks, that's going to do it for today. I want to thank, of course, my co-hosts. Again, I'm really excited about this new crew, and you guys are great. And this is our second episode together. Excuse me. And I think so far it's phenomenal. So I just could not be, again, happier that you guys are here. So I want to thank you for saying yes, basically. And folks, we had a great chat today. Very active chat. I want to thank everyone who showed up for the chat. Very fun, very active. A lot of good discussion in there as well. If you haven't yet, please feel free to join our Discord server. We can keep the chat going over there. We have a very lively and fun Discord. If you haven't joined already, please do so. Next week on the show, we're going to talk about games based on licensed properties, or why certain, why are there a million Warhammer games and no Expanse game, for example, something like that, and
also whether or not they're a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Is an Expanse game a good idea?
We will explore the topic of licensed video games.
Yes, yes, licensed video games, and sometimes that's a great topic, because why are there a million Warhammer games, and why are only 2 out of 5 good? Or is it 3 out of 5? But that's going to do it for today, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you back here for the podcast next week and for the stream tomorrow morning. Have a great